WNZK, Dearborn Heights, Detroit. Your ethnic superstation at 690 days, 680 nights.
سوا على الهوا سوا على الهوا يأتيكم عبر أثير إذاعة
صباح الخير أمريكا
من يوم اللي اتكون يا وطني الموج كنا سوا.
يمكنكم الآن متابعة برنامج سوا على الهواء على قناة ميوزك لايف عبر الديش نتورك شانل 633. البرنامج يبث لمستمعين يوم الثلاثاء الساعة 8 صباحا حسب التوقيت الشرقي للولايات المتحدة في ميشيغان وتوليدو وأوهايو ووينزر كندا على الموجة المتوسطة wnzk 690 AM، ولمستمعين في مناطق واشنطن وفرجينيا وميريلاند على الموجة المتوسطة wdmv 700 AM. يمكنكم الاستماع للبرنامج عبر الاتصال من أي هاتف على الرقم 702-489-0120. يتلقى البرنامج اتصالاتكم مباشرة من داخل الولايات المتحدة على الهاتف رقم 248-557-3300. الإضافة عبر سكايب US Arab Radio. للاستماع للبودكاست ushammedia.com.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Renée Ahee, your host for this morning's important discussion, titled, Your Vote is Your Voice. Let it be heard. Thank you to all of you who commented and called in to our first broadcast a couple of weeks ago with Dr. Ronald Stockton. I'm delighted to be back hosting this morning's Radio Baladi program. Once you hear our wonderful guests, I hope you'll all take part in the dialogue. Before we get started, I want to remind you that you can listen live in Michigan here at 690 AM and Washington, D.C. at 700 AM. You can also listen via iTunes. Go to wnzk.com and choose Listen Live. To listen from across the country, you can dial 702-489-0120. And then everybody can catch us online at http://arabradio.us/listen_live. Again, arabradio.us/listen_live. We're delighted to be here with Miss Judith Karandjeff, who is President of the League of Women Voters of Michigan, and Miss Betsy Cushman, President of the League of Women Voters, Dearborn Heights. Judith Ann Karandjeff is a champion in our state for the right to vote, the rights of women, and civil rights for everyone. From May 2003 to January of 2011, Judy was the Executive Director of the Michigan Women's Commission. Prior to this position, she was the Executive Director for Planned Parenthood Affiliates of Michigan and Planned Parenthood Advocates of Michigan. She holds a Master's of Public Administration degree from Western Michigan University. And very exciting for many of us is that she was inducted into the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame in 2012. With us also is Miss Betsy Cushman. Betsy joined the League in 1967 and has served in many capacities in 4 local leagues, often as Voters Service Director. She had a paying job for many years as the Director of Volunteer Services for Oakwood Healthcare System, which is now part of the Beaumont system. And she's a published author of several articles in the Dearborn Historian. Welcome, Judy, and welcome, Betsy, and thank you for spending time with our listeners on this critical matter of voting. In a little while, ladies and gentlemen, we will be opening the phones to your questions for Judy Karandjeff and Betsy Cushman. I would like to give you that number, 248-557-3300. But first I would like to set the stage. This election season has seen some egregious violations of the Voter Rights Act, most particularly recently on March 22nd in Arizona, where the Secretary of State Michelle Reagan confirmed there was election fraud in the primary. The right to vote has been hard fought for decades on behalf of women and for citizens of color in this country. In 2013, however, the Supreme Court overturned Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. The result was that certain states with a history of racial discrimination no longer had to get pre-clearance before making voting changes. The consequences were immediate in many states. Texas, for example, passed a voter photo ID requirement, and in North Carolina, a number of voter restrictions were also approved. Now, the courts have taken up cases in both states, leading many to question the power that the Voting Rights Act still has. This act has even been a topic of heritage and against women and immigrants. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get back to how we as citizens of a democratic society safeguard our rights. But first, to my guests. Good morning, Judy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I would venture to say that not too many people know about the League of Women Voters. You've been around for a long time, but could you tell us, Judy, what is the League? When was it founded, and why was it founded?
The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. We were actually founded in 1920, just prior to getting the right to vote by Carrie Chapman Catt. And the purpose was to inform women so that they could take on their new responsibilities as voters. It encouraged them to use their new power to participate in voting, but also in shaping public policy. We're nonpartisan. We never support or oppose any candidate at any level. We are all volunteers. We are both men and women. We have approximately 150,000 members around the United States, and we have over 750 leagues in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. Here in Michigan, we have 21 local leagues.
That's interesting. I never knew that. I didn't realize how active you were and are, continued to be. And have you operated completely and continuously since 1920?
Yes.
Well, that's really fascinating. In Michigan, you have 21 local chapters, and Betsy, you represent Dearborn Heights.
Correct.
Do we have a lot in our Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties?
There are 4 leagues in Wayne County, and there are probably 7 or 8. Judy would know better in the surrounding area. We in Wayne County get together occasionally to work on elections that deal with Wayne County issues.
Right. And Judy, you were talking about being nonpartisan. Are you also nonpartisan on issues, or is it just the candidates?
Well, we never support a political party. We do take positions on issues, and they can be, supported or opposed by either party. They're not based on a partisan position. We do, for example, support voting rights. We have Equal Pay Day coming up that we're working on, for example. So
that is a big issue in our country, equal pay for everyone who do the same job. So that's great. A couple poignant and powerful movies have come out describing the horrific treatment women in America and Britain received when they demanded the right to vote. One was released last year. It was called Suffragette, and I believe it was quite popular. And another was Iron-Jawed Angels that came out over a decade ago. Why are these historical stories important to both men and women?
They really illustrated to me the 72-year-long struggle that both men and women went through to get women the right to vote. I mean, frankly, we couldn't have had the right to vote unless the men voted for it because we weren't in office. So it was a struggle by both genders to get women the opportunity to participate in our democracy. It was a long fight, and as we saw in both of those movies, there was a lot of personal sacrifice by many women for many years to make that happen. So we, as a group, stand on those shoulders of those women and men that fought for our right.
And you are advocating the right to vote by any U.S. citizen of any color, of any gender, and orientation. And Yes, please, go ahead.
Of course, yes, we do. And we've worked, obviously, in the civil rights movement and other movements to make sure that there are no barriers for voting.
And Betsy, will you address what does the League do to encourage everyone to exercise their right to vote?
One of the most important things in encouraging people to vote is to let them know that there are sources of nonpartisan information where you can learn about the candidates at all levels and the ballot proposals. Because when you know something about what you're voting for, if you know what's on the ballot before you show up and vote, you're so much more apt to vote, and you're so much more apt to make an informed vote that you feel good about the decision you're making. We do voter guides we've done from the beginning that list all the candidates. We ask them important questions that are of interest to everyone. We ask them all the same questions. We give them all the same amount of time and space to answer them. And we do this now online on vote411.org. And I really want to stress this vote411.org because it tells you what's going to be on the ballot before you vote. It is across the country. It's a national program. It's not in everywhere, and if there isn't a League of Women Voters in your particular area, you may only have statewide races rather than your local races. But even all of Wayne County, that's why we're getting together in Wayne County, is to make sure that all the upcoming races, including in the primary and in the general election, for important offices are covered. We also, in addition to that, we sponsor candidate forums, and the League is well known for, I have had many over the years, candidates say, you know, I will only go to the League of Women Voters because I know I'm going to be treated fairly when I go, because we treat all of them the same, and everybody is invited whose name is going to be on the ballot is going to be invited to participate. We also do ballot proposal information sessions at the same time, and so we really try to help people understand and see. So if you go to the candidate forums, if you read what they say in their voter guide, the League of Women Voters really helps you and encourages you to get out and vote. And the more information you have, here in Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, we are able to disseminate our paper copies because there are many people who do not go online, and for those who don't, we have paper copies that we put into the public libraries and city halls. There's another way that we really encourage people to go out and vote, and that's by registering people to vote. And in Dearborn Heights, we are gaining a reputation for, this is our 5th year of going out into the high schools. It's called the Youth Voter Registration Project. And we cooperate with Access, and we go out into the high schools in all the public and private in Dearborn and Dearborn Heights. And we talk to the students about where to find information. We register them to vote. We take them to the city clerk's office. We work closely with our city clerks. We deliver them to, because we have students who come from all over the area, right, so we deliver them all out. But those are our main ways that we encourage people to vote.
I'm looking at the voter guide. It looks to me.
This is actually I brought you a copy of our list of elected public officials. We call it in Dearborn Heights who's who, your elected officials. Okay. But every year in January we come out with a new list, because we want to encourage you that once these people are in office, to keep in touch and let them know. You don't know how powerful one message, if you care about an issue, that you're making a phone call to your state representative, that there are so few people who take the time to do that, that if you're one of the ones that does, they pay attention to you. So I really encourage you. So we make those lists possible, and so we will encourage people to know how to contact, who their elected officials. Our community is so used to it. They welcome us with open arms when we show up.
And does the 411.org allow people to get who their league is in the area?
I think so. We do have a website, and I recommend highly that you go to there's a national, because we operate at all levels, there's a national website, lwv.org. and there is for the League of Women Voters, and there's a state one, LWVMI, for the state League of Women Voters of Michigan.org.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. Imad Nakash is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. Imad Nakash. See Dr. Imad Nakash and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937.
Jumana K-Ruse. You've seen her images on giant billboards across the metro. Jumana K-Ruse. You've seen her images on buses across the city. Now get to know Jumana K-Ruse.
Most people who sit in my office across from my desk are hurting on so many levels. One thing people do not know about medical malpractice is that the statute of limitation, meaning the time that you have to bring suits against a doctor, a hospital, is 2 years. In medical malpractice, that's a very short period of time. Not every lawyer is an advocate, but every lawyer should be an advocate.
Let Jumana K-Ruse protect your rights. Call the law offices of Jumana K-Ruse at 1-866-YOUR-RIGHTS, extension 100, or visit yourrights.com.
It's never too early to get your child on the right track. From their first words to first grade, Dreamy Children's Center in Troy works closely with parents to provide an experience that goes beyond early education. The highly qualified and experienced staff use a variety of programs that can help nurture important personality traits like responsibility, independence, problem-solving, motivation, and respect. They also have educational programs ranging from preschooling for infants, toddlers, transitional toddlers, and pre-K to Montessori-approved programs and bilingual curriculums for young children. They're open from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., can provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner with snacks in between, and can also arrange for after-school pickup. Dreamy Children's Center in Troy is located at 37373 DeQuinder, just above 16 Mile Road, and can be found on Facebook at Dreamy Children's Center. Ask about the free preschool program. Call today, 248-680-9170, 248-680-9170.
سوا على الهوا سوا على الهوا يأتيكم عبر أثير إذاعة
صباح الخير أمريكا
من يوم اللي اتكون يا وطن الموت كنا سوا.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Renée Ahee, your host for a very interesting program called Your Vote is Your Voice. Let it be heard. I'm joined by Judith Karandjeff, who is the president of the League of Women Voters of Michigan, and Betsy Cushman of the League of Women Voters for Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, Michigan. Ladies, voting is at the heart of our democracy. A vote sends a direct message to the government about how a citizen wants to be governed. In a world where, even yet today, citizens do not have that right, they do not choose who they wish to represent them. Why is it critical for Americans of all races, ethnicities, and genders to make sure that their voice is heard? Betsy, can you address that a little bit for us?
Every voice, as you say, needs to be heard. And it's when we are all, as a people in this country, I'm speaking about this country, when we are all, that's how democracy works, is this myriad of all the different kinds of people that came from so many different backgrounds. And when you see us all getting involved, equally representing our own interests, representing what we think is best for this country, that's when we are feeling much more engaged.
Judy, are you back with us? It's not Judy? Okay. What I'd like to do, ladies and gentlemen, is introduce you to a young woman, Fatima Nakata, who is from Malawi. And she has an important message for us. She has worked with Betsy and Judy on the Youth Voter Registration Project. And I would like very much, Fatima, are you on the line with us? Fatima, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us. Please tell us about your experience and what has caused you to work with these wonderful men and women of the League.
Well, as you said, I'm a student from Malawi, and coming from a country where the majority of the population, 2/3 of the country, are people classified as youth. Getting involved in getting young people to take this first step in exercising their right to vote is something that is really close to my heart. And the experience that I've had going around with the League is that it's amazing to see young people, particularly women, of a heritage that doesn't normally push forward women to get involved in voting in my country. It's really amazing to see that. I saw a lot of young Arab women registering to vote, and that for me was the reason why I got involved in the League, to see young people getting involved.
Why do you think it's important for the youth to be involved and begin to become engaged in the process as a young person?
Your vote is your voice. Now, if you do not vote, you're basically giving double the value to the people that vote. Now, if you want to be represented, if you want issues that affect you to be dealt with, you need to get your voice to be heard. By not voting, you're giving up your voice, and you're giving that power to people who will then push their own agenda. So as a young person and as a woman, I do believe that you have the right to stand up and get your voice to be heard.
Do you think that voting early has any impact on involvement in the process at higher levels or at greater involvement down the road for these young people?
It does, really. It does. Because, the first step in getting involved in the democratic process is registering to vote. Now, when you're a registered voter, you then get more and more interested in taking part in the whole process. You can even, take up run for office if you want to, but the first step is to actually register to vote. So I do believe that it's quite important to ensure that young people continue to be involved in the democratic process in this country.
Judy, are you back on the line?
I am.
Very good. Thank you. No, it's all right. Thanks for being with us. Do people at the ages of 18 or a little bit older get involved in the League, and would you encourage it and welcome their involvement?
Oh, we definitely welcome their involvement. It just depends in the area whether young people are involved or not, but we definitely encourage it. And by doing the voter registration in the high schools, such as Betsy mentioned, it's our opportunity to introduce them to the League and invite them to the candidate forums and talk to them about Vote 411. As Fatima said, this is the way to get people engaged in politics, hopefully for their whole life.
And I'm interested in knowing, Fatima, from your perspective as someone who was born and raised in another country, how important is it for people of color, for people who are considered quote-unquote minorities in our country, and for women to get involved and stay involved?
It is very important for minorities and women, other minorities and women, to get involved in the voting process, because if we do not get our voice heard, we become marginalized. Like I said, whatever we want to be represented on our behalf does not have power if there's no people behind it. Now, by voting, we're putting people in place that will push our agenda, that will advocate for us, that will advocate for issues that are affecting us. It's very important for minorities because there are issues that affect minorities that are not put in the forefront in the decision-making process. So if you are voting, if you have the power to vote, that voice has strength.
Part of what I'm seeing, and I'm certainly not baiting either Betsy or Judy in this question or this comment, but in this election and this cycle that we've seen of hate, we are finding backlashes against women, against minorities in this country. And for me, as an activist relative to voting and women's issues, it is important for us to say we do not approve of this. We do not approve of that kind of horrific treatment and the retrograding of our rights by the people in power. And for me, I would love to encourage all of our listeners, if you are eligible to vote and you're not registered, register right away for the general election, which is coming up in November. And I certainly know that you can't offer an opinion or tell anybody to vote. That's in your charter. But this is what I'm seeing, and you as observant citizens are seeing what's going on with the anti-immigrant, anti-race, and anti-women backlash. What does the League have to say to these Americans regarding the upcoming elections?
Well, whatever we care about, it's our vote is the primary way to make our voice heard. And our democracy only works if everyone participates. Again, it's a majority rule, so if we don't vote, the other people's vote counts more than ours. We especially hope that we empower people to make a decision about voting by giving them information that the candidates have provided us, so that you can learn their position, for example, on immigration or making voting easier, so you can make an informed decision when you do vote. We also work hard to urge all the candidates to participate and can use everyone's help in that, so that they attend our candidate forums and answer questions on Vote 411, for example.
Betsy, you said that the candidates believe that this is an important opportunity for them.
The candidates do respond to our voter guides and come to the candidate forums because they want to reach people that are maybe not convinced which way they feel but want to learn more about it. And honestly, when you get there in person, it helps give you some insights into what they really are saying. I love to watch myself the interactions as they are on those stages and talking about the issues. So I like going in person to candidate forums, but I also like to write when they have time, how prepared are they as they went through and answered the questions about and what are their positions on these issues, because they're important. One thing I also wanted to mention is that there is in Michigan in August 3rd, I believe, primary election. August 2nd or 3rd?
August 2nd. Yep.
2nd, thank you. August 2nd, primary election. Primary elections are so important because we have in many areas across the country, not just in Michigan, a lot of redistricting that's been done that tends to make each district either more Democrat voters by a lot or more Republican voters by a lot. So the decisions are made in their primary when they're deciding which Democrat do we want to run in November, which Republican. And that is a really important election to participate in. But again, get your information ahead of time. These are really important. People who are running for these offices, sometimes it's the first time and you don't know anything about them. You really want to know.
Ladies and gentlemen listening, please call in with some of your questions and comments regarding the League of Women Voters, the opportunity to vote, whether you're going to be voting and why or why not. Call us at 248-557-3300. I would like to talk a little bit about how can people receive more information about the candidates that are running in their own district. Is it the vote411.org?
Yes, if you're lucky enough to have a League of Women Voters in your area that services your area, then it's vote411.org.
Okay.
And that will give you everything. What's lovely about it is that you input your address, your home address, where you're going to vote, and it brings up only the races that you're going to be voting in, which is a wonderful thing because many times information you're like, I'm not sure what district I'm in. You can tell just by putting in your address, and it brings up your races.
Right. We're about ready to take a break, and we will be back with Judith Karandjeff and Betsy Cushman, and thank you very much. We'll see you in a minute.
Nidal's Pharmacy is a place to go for all of your prescription needs. All insurance plans are accepted at Nidal's Pharmacy. Prescription delivery is available. Nidal's Pharmacy is located at 23,800 Orchard Lake Road, Suite 102 in Farmington Hills. Call 248-477-2131. Nidal's Pharmacy, 248-477-2131.
Life for Relief and Development is a nonprofit charity that has been providing humanitarian aid and development to people and communities regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background for over 22 years. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life rushes to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Life also has development projects to provide medical relief, water purification, educational programs, relief for orphans, and much more. Your help and support can greatly improve these efforts. All donations are tax deductible. For more information, please visit our website at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493. That's lifeusa.org, 248-424-7493.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
Are you going to start a restaurant or a grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Naji Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Naji Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Naji Abood, 734-744-9796.
سوا على الهوا سوا على الهوا يأتيكم عبر أثير إذاعة
صباح الخير صباح الخير أمريكا
من يوم اللي اتكون يا وطني الموج كنا سوا.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sawa al-Hawa. This is Renée Ahee, your host. My guests are Judith Karandjeff and Betsy Cushman of the League of Women Voters Michigan and the League of Women Voters Dearborn Heights. We have a wonderful caller on this morning. Adele, good morning, and thank you for being with us.
Oh, good morning, Renee. Thank you so much for hosting this great program.
We're delighted you're here. How can you enlighten us, or what is your question?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'd like to really thank Betsy and Judy for the work they do with the women voters. I mean, without them, I'm not sure what we
being
can do.
interviewed right now.
Sure. One thing is two important things that I want to raise, and also kind of hopefully you can allow me to throw a plug for myself since I'm a candidate in November for the school board in Dearborn. But the two things that I want to raise, and since I have announced my candidacy for the school board in Dearborn and gathering signatures for support and also talking to people, I have talked to so many youth who are unregistered to vote and they're eligible to vote. So we have people who are between the ages of 18 and like 26, 70 to 80% of those youth that I've talked to, and they're like, I talked to more than 50, more than 60 people, and they are not registered to vote. So why are we lacking this as far as the youth especially? The second question is probably to Betsy, but hopefully she can answer that. I've seen the women voters get really very active in the west side of the city, sometimes in the east side, but I don't see them as often in the south end side. The last event was at Edsel Ford, which was great, but hopefully we can collaborate in the future to do something in the south side of Dearborn, also southwest of Detroit. Those were my two questions. Again, I'm running for school board. Hopefully I'll make a change in the school board in Dearborn, also strengthening the Dearborn Public Schools. I highly believe in the public system, and I believe that it's still viable and it can succeed, even though it's been very tough in the last decade or so.
Ado, thank you so much for calling in, and congratulations for taking this important step. And we're going to get into a question a little bit about the importance of the I won't call them lesser, but the more local elections. And Betsy, can you address the youth issue?
Yes, for 5 years we have been registering students to vote in the high schools, and you're speaking particularly of Dearborn because we have gone to Dearborn Heights. We do go to Fortson. We registered over 200 students in the month of March at Fortson High School, and we have for 5 years. It is really important. That is not, however, that is the only way we have been, except when we are invited in to do voter registration at University of Michigan Dearborn and Henry Ford Community College. But one of the reasons why we go into the high schools is because many students are eligible to vote, and they are never asked again after we do it in high school. When they go out, they are out working, they are out doing other things, and maybe their school is not encouraging them to register to vote. So I think that the need is great still among the young people, and I think especially before this program started, but there are always young people that we miss, and I really would love to have us get involved and do any voter registration that we can in cooperation with at the south end. We go where the schools are, so we go to where the high schools. That's where we've been.
One good thing about having this program now is that people have time to register to vote. So when we meet people that aren't registered, we can encourage them to go to their Secretary of State's office or their local clerks and get registered, because you have until July 5th to register before the August primary.
And where else can they register to vote?
They can vote at their city clerk, township clerk, or Secretary of State. Okay. Those really are the main places where you can register to vote. And I would second what Judy says. That is really the best way to register to vote.
Okay.
One more question, Renee, sorry, if you allow me.
Please.
If a student will turn 18 in, say, October or August, that's after the primary, can they still register to vote prior to that?
They have until October 11th to register for the November general election.
But if they do register right now and they're still 17, would that be accepted for the November elections?
Yes, in Dearborn they will hold until, and we tell the students that because we will register students ahead of time, and they will hold them, yes.
Okay, perfect. That's what I'm saying. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ado, for calling. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, we welcome your calls at 248-557-3300. And I'd like to talk about those local elections with you, Judy, and with you, Betsy, because you make announcements or tell us about these local elections. Why are they important? The school boards, the judgeships.
They are really important for the decisions that they're making affect your everyday lives, and they don't get all the publicity that you see across the country about national elections, but in fact these affect every day what you do, what your students are, what's going on in your schools, what is going on in your city halls, what is going on everywhere, all those decisions. And not only that, those people who are in those offices are going to often run for a higher office, and you want to have an input and know who these people are ahead of time and have a say, make your voice heard, vote for the most qualified, in your opinion, candidate. So you can't do that until you get to know who they are. But we are fortunate to have many qualified people who want to run for office. That's really important. We want to encourage men, women, people of minorities, people of all kinds of backgrounds to run for office so that we do have these kinds of choices. And then we watch what happens. One of the other things are judges, because so few people know who the judges are. In Michigan, we elect all of our judges, and it is really important that you know something about them when they are running, like your local district court, which tends to be like your local city, and to understand who those races. We're going to have one, I know, in Dearborn in the primary election, and then in the general election. It will be very important to find out how they feel about issues, because judges, as you know, circuit court judges, there's going to be some races in circuit court in Wayne County. I don't know beyond, but I'm sure there are. If there are, you want to know, because when I go around and talk to different people, when I say, you know, judges affect your lives, those decisions are really important, you want good judges, there are many people that they, in fact, know those judges really are important. They've had contact with them, and so it is really, they know that they want to be involved in making that decision of who's the best judge. And I'm always surprised that there are, I spoke one time at the Department of Human Services, and they're like, they know the judges, and some of them really weren't aware about voting for them. They don't know when they get to the ballot. They're looking at all those names on the ballot, and they're like, I didn't know. I thought it would just be for president. So that's students, too. We always, when we go to the student high schools, we show them a ballot from 4 years ago of what it looked like. 4 sheets, 2 sheets of paper, 4 sides, and ballot proposals. And it can be a little overwhelming, but we're saying you can find out. You can know more than most people if you go to vote411.org, because it really, you can find out what's on the ballot beforehand, so you don't go in there and say, I don't know who to vote for.
Judy, can you talk about the situation of the lesser elections in school boards, city councils, and judgeships throughout the state of Michigan? And do we have that same situation across the country where these local elections are as important?
Of course, the local elections are important all over the state of Michigan. I live in the Lansing area, and we have school boards and city councils and county commissioners, besides the judges, all up for election. So it's important that we gather information about the candidates, use Vote 411, talk to the candidates when we get an opportunity, and of course even consider running ourselves, because these offices are open to anyone who meets the qualifications, so we encourage people to run for office as well.
It seems in our country that running for office, put yourself out in ways that you open yourself up for criticism and examination and so on and so forth. Is there a way that we can make more civil, perhaps, the dialogue about the candidate, and so that they're working on the issues and it doesn't become a personal vendetta for or against someone?
As anyone who's attended our candidate forums, we really try to keep the civility and talk about the issues at our forums. We try not to allow questions or comments that are attacking people or not providing good information for the audience. So we try to model that behavior where you're talking about, because we probably all get enough with the television ads and news on the other side.
I would like to talk about an important subject, Betsy, that you raised, and that was about redistricting. We're going to take a break in a moment or two, but let's get started a little bit on this question. What is redistricting, and why is it important for us to understand what redistricting is, what the effect is, and do we have any say in redistricting?
Go ahead. I think Judy actually is really more expert. We both have spoken on it, but I'll ask Judy.
Well, this is the opportunity for us to choose the politicians and not the politicians to choose the voters. Redistricting is drawing the lines where you live. For example, who you're going to vote for city council, who you're going to vote for your state representative or your U.S. congressperson. There are many levels of redistricting, but it's essentially drawing the lines where the voters determine the candidate that will be elected. And it's done at many levels.
When you say at many levels, are we talking about voting districts?
State, national.
Okay.
The ones that we have been involved in doing a statewide education campaign has been for Congress and for the state House of Representatives and the State Senate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. Thank you for being with us.
أسواق زمزم الواقع على 24065 أورشاد ليك في مدينة فارمington هيلز ترحب بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. تنزيلات كبيرة على عموم المواد الغذائية في يوم الأربعاء من كل أسبوع. لا تنسوا فريش كاري اوت، جميع انواع المعجنات، وايضا صواني الكمبو المشكله والصمون الحار. لحوم حلال الجاليه العربيه والاسلاميه الملحمه باداره قصاب الجاليه المعروف سلوان جربوع. زوروهم على 24065 اورشاد ليك في مدينه فارمington هيلز او اتصلوا بهم على 248-476-0300. اسواق زمزم للمذاقي عنوان لجميع طلباتكم. اتصلوا على 248-476-0300. اسواق زمزم للمعامله الراقية وكرم الضيافة عنوان.
مسافر وحدك وفايتني.
أمتي ترافل للسياحة والسفر بإدارة نبيل الباشا تعلن عن افتتاح مكتبها الواقع على 28695 راين رود في مدينة وورن. خدمات متميزة وخبرة تفوق 20 عاما نضعها في خدمة عملائنا الكرام. مع أمتي ترافل يمكنكم حجز رحلاتكم الجوية داخل أمريكا، الوطن العربي وأنحاء العالم، إضافة إلى الأماكن السياحية والاستجمام. للحصول على أفضل العروض وأنسب الأسعار ولمزيد من المعلومات اتصلوا على الرقم 586-578-9126 586-578-9126. أمتي ترافل، عنوان للصداقة والثقة. قشات ميديترينيان ماركت بإدارة سهر قشات وأولاده يرحبون بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. جميع أنواع المواد الغذائية، البان طازجة، الكرزات والبهارات الطازجة. داخل الأسواق مطعم ميديترينيان شيش كباب يقدم يوميا جميع أنواع الكباب، المقبلات العربية العراقية وصواني الكامبو المميزة. تفتح الأسواق من 8 إلى 9 مساء من الاثنين وحتى السبت، ومن 8 صباحا إلى 9 مساء يوم الأحد. تقع الأسواق على 32839 نورث ويسترن هايواي في مدينة فارمington هيلز. لحوم حلال للجالية الإسلامية. لطلباتكم من المطعم كول 248-538-7855. That is 248-538-7855. قشة ميديترينيان ماركت، خدمة متميزة ومعاملة راقية. سوا على الهوا، سوا على الهوا، يأتيكم عبر أثير إذاعة
صباح الخير. صباح الخير أمريكا.
من يوم اللي اتكون يا وطني الموت كنا سوا.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Renée Ahee with Sawa al-Hawa. I am joined by Judith Karandjeff, who is the president of the League of Women Voters of Michigan, and Betsy Cushman, the president of the League of Women Voters Dearborn Heights. Judy, I would like to talk with you a little bit about your democracy agenda. How do you operate? How do you educate your members so they in turn can go across the country and educate us as citizens?
Well, it really varies, but for example, we're a grassroots organization, meaning we've heard from our local members about issues that are of concern to them. And voting is, of course, one of their primary interests. We've learned across the United States that each state and local community have different issues facing voting, but we all want to make voting easier and accessible. So we've agreed through a complex study and then determining our action to work on issues to make voting easier. For example, we support online voter registration so that people, and that's happening in some states around the country. We support, obviously, making sure that our equipment is up to date and accurate, so when you vote, we can trust our vote being counted. And we support such things as, in some states, they're doing mail-in ballots, for example, in Oregon and Colorado. some leagues have been involved in that. So there are many reforms that the League has supported to make voting easier and more secure.
In your democracy agenda, redistricting is one of them. Campaign financing or campaign spending is another issue. How do you determine the issues that are coming to the fore and that the League is interested in informing us about?
Well, our members through the local leagues meet, and that information goes up to the state league and then to the national league. So we actually agree from the grassroots to the top on setting our priorities. We'll be having a convention soon where we'll work on that again and set our priorities.
Is the convention open to other than league members?
There are guests there, but voting obviously is limited to league members.
Very, very interesting. Across the country, and we did talk about that a little earlier, about the voter fraud that occurred in Arizona that we're aware of. And how does the League work to safeguard the sanctity, if you will, of the vote? And how do I know that my vote is counted? How do I know and have trust that it is going to be handled properly and I get access to my voting booth?
In the League, we have what's called a poll watcher program that a lot of local leagues participate in and state leagues, where we actually have people at the polls on Election Day to see if there are any problems. While we don't impact anything that day, we talk to the clerks in our area afterwards about problems we've seen and suggest changes that can be made, because obviously those elected officials also have the same goal that we do, but they can't be at every polling place. So we can help be eyes and ears on the ground and suggest improvements and, assure that voters get through the process in a timely manner. To me, the issue in Arizona, more than anything dealing with fraud, was the long lines where people were waiting 5 hours. We can't expect that of, voters.
And in that kind of situation, what can we as citizens do to help fix it, to make our voice heard that's unacceptable? Is it an issue of funding? Do the clerk's offices have enough funding to handle this? Because if we're encouraging voting, we can't discourage them on the other end. Standing 5 hours, may be something that we wouldn't be willing to do if we have to work, if we have to get our children to school.
Right. There actually was a bill that passed recently in Michigan to ban straight ticket voting. And in that bill, the legislature added more money to improve the elections for the Secretary of State's office. So obviously money is an issue, and new money has been allocated. It takes time, for that to make it through the system. But making sure that we have enough polling places open and volunteers working at the polling places are priorities for us. One of the issues that face the clerks, obviously, is how many people are going to vote absentee, because here in Michigan, we can go get our absentee ballot or have it mailed to us if we meet certain criteria. And so that allows you to vote prior to the election day.
Is absentee voting available across the country?
Each state has their own rules on absentee voting. Mm-hmm. Some have no reason absentee voting, which is one of our democracy agenda issues besides, the campaign finance and redistricting. And that way anybody can go early and vote.
I would like to invite our listeners to call in and talk with Judith Karandjeff and Betsy Cushman at 248-557-3300. We have a few minutes left in our program, Sawal Hawa, and we are grateful that you're here. I'd like to ask the question about for people who are listening across the country. Vote411.org is probably one of the best places they can go. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. All right. Are there other places where a local community could find out if there is a league?
The national website is full of lots of information, lwv.org, LWV for League of Women Voters.org. And that it tells more about the League of Women Voters if there is one near you. We also have found that we have increasing interest in the League of Women Voters, I would say. Our own local league has grown, and I believe our state league is growing, and that I think it's because people are really grateful to learn about the fact that there is a nonpartisan organization open to all, encouraging all people to be a part of getting a reasonable way of looking at our government and getting information from a nonpartisan source, and with people who are really concerned and caring and educated. And I don't mean they have to have a college education. I mean that they are educated about what's going on in their government. Sure. And many people really do that don't know how to go about. They have an interest. They talk about it, but they may not vote because they really have never actually gone to find out where their polling place is. They've never registered to vote. They aren't really sure how to do it.
Judy, I'd like to address this question to you. If there is not a League of Women Voters chapter in a community, and because you are a grassroots organization, how does a local group of interested people find out, start a chapter, or what can they do to become more educated?
They can contact a local league in their area if they're, that's close by, or they can contact a state league or national league, and we'll follow up with them to work with them. At the national website, there's actually a button you can click on to find a local league, so that'll let you know what's available in your community. But we're glad to work with with new people. That we are working right now in Grand Rapids and some other areas in the state to develop a local league.
So for those of you listening from across the country, lwv.org is a place for you to go to learn more information about forming a chapter if there is not a local League of Women Voters in your area, learning about the issues in your area. You'll be able to find that at the website. And vote411.org is also a nonpartisan one-stop shop for voters. We want to encourage our youth because we do believe that the future of our country sits with you, and we want to encourage all of the parents who are listening to encourage your children to vote. The vote is our voice. We want it to be heard. We are, grateful in this country for the opportunity to vote. So if you are eligible to vote, we want to encourage you to vote, no matter what position you take, what party you represent. We are looking forward to a robust election this time around. Please don't forget your local school boards, your judgeships, the community local elections. We want to encourage you to stay engaged in our democracy. We want to wrap it up now, and we are grateful to you, Judith Karandjeff, and you, Betsy Cushman, for joining us from the League of Women Voters of Michigan and Dearborn Heights. Thank you, everyone, for joining us at Sawal Hawa, and have a beautiful, beautiful day.